Hi guys, and welcome back to Lanivendole's podcast. For those of you who are here for the first time, it's Stefania, and with my friend Julia, I'm the co-owner of Lanivendole, that is a small brand, yarn brand from Italy, where we produce our own yarn and sourcing fibers locally here in Italy. We do all the hand dyeing and the concept of each base. We gather the fibers only from local breeders, and we just use natural fibers with no treatment and minimally processed here in Italy as well. And basically that's what we do. So it's been quite a while since I was here for last time. I took the occasion of our upcoming summer sales that will start next Monday, July 31st, as a kick to present finally, after it was launched quite ago, of our latest sort of artistic creation, that is the Acquerelli Collection, on the base of A Stormy Blend fingering in the Perla colorway. And yes, well, because they were launched, they were sold out in a few days, almost all colorways. So now we are restocking them, as I was saying, for the sales. And I thought, well, Julia and I both, we thought it was about time to present this idea we had properly. And you may know that Stormy Blend was born as an undyed base, because it's made of 70% wool and 30% alpaca, in different shades of the natural shades of the fleece, of the alpaca fleece, black, gray, which is actually a mixture of white and black. It depends on the yield of each batch. Sometimes it's gray, depending on the animals, and a light fawn, because alpaca has very rich browns, but we decided to use it very diluted in a sort of beige fawn. So we still have in stock the 3 shades of A Stormy Blend, and we keep them undyed. Nothing changes about that. But we had this idea for a club a few years ago to over-dye these bases with our hand dyeing. And we did it on the Luce, the light gray, we did it on Ombra, the dark gray, and we did it as well on Perla, that is the fawn base. And we really love that. And one thing that we still have to deal with regarding our clubs is actually that normally we have always kept the dedicated colorway secret. So only the people who subscribed to the club had the possibility to see them, which is nice and so exclusive. But in the end, it turned out that we were sort of lacking something. It was a sort of a pity not to let people see them. And so this year, in fact, as you may know, we started with the Seasonal Portrait Club with the revelation of every shade. I know that this can be a bit confusing or disappointing for the people who love surprises. But well, okay, we tried this way, and perhaps in the future we will make some secret clubs again. It's totally possible. So this issue, well, issue perhaps is too strong term, but this happening gave us the idea to try again with the overdying of Stormy Blend but of course not in an exclusive club, but on a yarn that could be available and seeable for everybody. And that's how this collection was born. The other main feature is that we wanted to make shades that could let the natural color of the base come out amidst the hand dyeing. So we decided to make quite colorful and played a lot with the hand painting with steam and not in the pots, but still with the Perla base coming up here and there in the skins. The result was very soft and peculiar colorways that come with shades and speckles and undyed portions in the skin. And when we saw them washed and ready to be labeled, we thought that they really looked like watercolors, and that's how we came with the idea of giving the name Acquerelli, that in Italian means, of course, watercolor. And for the name game that we always play with every time we develop a new shade or a new collection in each base, we reasoned a lot, and because this collection was due to come out around April, but in the end it turned out in June, as it overlapped with the shows and knitting retreats and the club, and there was never enough time to launch it. So in June we said, okay, let's go and see what happens anyway. Sorry, I was divagating as always. I was saying, yeah, that the name game led us to choose Corto Maltese graphic novels, or better, Hugo Pratt graphic novels of Corto Maltese, the pirate, that is actually in black and white as most comics, but has here and there drawing that are really enchanting and really inspiring, I think, with this sort of watercolors that really take you to another place there with Corto, and they really looked perfect on this base. So we decided to go for that, and we chose 6 tables that could match of course the shades, the 6 shades we developed. And now I'm gonna show you them one after the other, and then, as always for our sales, I'm presenting a couple of patterns that we'll suggest to knit, in this case with A Stormy Blend in Acquerelli Collection. Okay, here we are. I made this little pose also because I forgot to bring the undyed base to make you see, to let you see the difference. I'm sorry, but it's here. So what I was saying before is how it looks like the base of a Stormy Blend fingering, just as a natural undyed. This is Ombra, the dark gray I was talking about. We used it on the By the Sea Club ages ago, it seems. And this is Luce, one of the bestseller we have already always had. That is the light gray. You can see perhaps that it's a sort of a slightly marred blend that comes out with the natural creamy white of wool and the very cold tones of alpaca. And this is Perla, the fawn beige, quite pinkish, creamy. I don't know. This is the most changing base that we have on A Stormy Blend, because every time we gather the fiber, this sort of beige is quite different. And so sometimes it's colder, sometimes it's nearer to pinkish rose, sometimes it's a little close to brown. Well, it depends. But anyway, these are the shades, and the Acquerelli comes over dyed on Perla. Okay, so let me just put this aside and start with the showcasing. You will see the table and the drawings that inspired us for the names popping up here aside. And the first one is Favola di Venezia. That is an ode to pink and vermilion and cherry and all shades in between. You see it has splashes of color and speckles as well, coming here and there, from purple to lilac and to this sort of hot pink. And it's quite tricky to find all the shades because they get melted. We have a sort of map when we dye this kind of colorways, because just to make them repeatable, and we just put the splashes and the speckles with a sort of scheme, but in the end they are always unique, which is something that I adore hand dyeing. Just to let you know how it spreads up colorway. That's it. And you can see the natural base of Perla coming out in some zones. So this is Favola di Venezia. I guess it was the most scary that I dyed, because I'm a fan of pink, but sometimes this sort of strong shade is quite far from my comfort zone, so I was a bit unsure, but this was one of the very first that went sold out, so it was quite surprising, and I was quite happy about that. Then we have Occidente. That is my favorite because it's very subtle. It's all about peach and pumpkin yellow and a sort of very, very soft tones. It has lilac again and some purple again, because we wanted them to have common hints of color, so that it was easier to mix and match them in project with a sort of intention to be paired. And so this is perhaps the one that makes more difficult to see the natural base underneath, because these soft tones are quite near to the Perla base, and you really have to see in strong light to have a sense of the difference. But in the end, it's also very elegant because the different shades really come out very softly. And that's it. After that, the other, but this was no surprise, the other best seller was Una ballata del mare salato, which I know is quite long. Perhaps we will make the translation in the description of this episode, so it's easier to understand. Or I think that you can browse for Corto Maltese. It was translated in different languages, and English, of course, as well. At least Hugo Pratt website is. So perhaps also the main name of the novels should be. So this one is all about blues. And very, very, I would say, happy blues. I don't know why I say happy, but there are some shades of blue that really scream for joy, at least to me. There are this sort of light blue and very deep, somehow electric. Sapphire, the name of one of the base of the shades we use as a dye powder, is sapphire blue, and it's so beautiful. But we also have deeper navy speckles and some yellow here and there. You see in this case the contrast with the natural base of Perla comes out more clearly than with Occidente, but anyway, it's all about transparency, as in watercolors, of course. There's some purple as well, very, very light, and also the pumpkin speckles and salmon, and if I remember correctly, also some orange that could make it easier to match with previous shade I show you. And so that's the third one. Then we have the one I'm knitting with that is Le Celtiche, and it's a very green base, and the green gets very gentle with this fawn underneath, at least in my opinion, because the dye we used here normally on a chic blend that is quite white would be very, very green, sort of Irish green, I would say. In this case it's quite diluted, of course, but the transparency makes it very easy to use, because sometimes green, if you love it, you have no problem with that, but I know many people really are scared about green, about wearing green. I'm quite confident with that. I like it. Anyway, you can see the speckles in spruce and teal and bluish, and some areas in navy as well, and purplish zones that sort of balance this heavy, vibrant green. And you see the drawing of Le Celtiche is almost the same inspiration that we had. Okay, that's it. Then we have, well, this is an ode to summer, I believe, and it is Escondida. and it's all about warm tones of yellow and brown, and the mixture in sort of ochre shades. Here it is, and this is balanced very well with the creamy base of Perla. It would be on the chic blends or the pure and simple that are totally white. It would get very, very hot. In this case, it's quite gentle. And this base has more speckles. We really love them, and we wanted it to be a little more contrasted than the previous ones I showed you, perhaps. And you see here navy as well, and the spruce, and vermilion, and some purple here and there. So the ochre and rust, and this is really summer. We are lacking the last one. That is the most tricky one, I believe, and is named Avevo un appuntamento. This is the most tricky because it has a lot of shades, but they are so soft and light that they're very difficult to render in photos. So I believe this will be more appreciated at shows in person, because it's not that easy to see them. There's sort of navy and powdery steel blue, and some purple and teal and turquoise, some yellow and chartreuse here and there, but the Perla base comes out much more here than in the other ones. We just wanted to give it a try in this effect, and I'm knitting with that as well, together with the Celtic, so I will show you how it looks like in a while. And this is, I believe, very elegant, but in the end it's quite undefined, perhaps, so it matches very well with the other ones, and with the natural base as well, if someone asked for that, perhaps. And that's all. The 6 shades we developed, and okay, you can see it here, so easier to see it with the base, the undyed base. And let's take all together. And I think I'm missing the Celtic, but it has to be skinned because I have already caked it and I don't have any more skins. I'm sorry, I can show you the caked one. Well, in a while I will show you properly what I have on the needles and what I have already finished. So this is Acquerelli, and just let me make some tidying up on the table. And And here we are. I am wearing one of the patterns I had in my list since it was published a few months ago. I believe, I don't know, I saw it a few months ago on Instagram, and it's called the EXP by an Australian designer, Sana and Co. And it's made not in brioche, as you may think, but in fisherman's rib, which is one of my favorite textures ever. I think I started knitting because of fisherman's rib men's sweaters that I saw somewhere, I don't know, in England. And so when I saw it, I said, okay, that's perfect. And that's perfect to show the Acquerelli collection that I was dying by that time. And it's, well, it's not finished. I hope I will finish it in a few days now. But I wanted to show to you because it has a very peculiar construction. It's of course it starts from the top with sewn funnel color, and then it's divided into different sections, and these bands are that now are on hold with the sleeves will be actually sewn and make a diagonal underarm, I would say, section to shape the body, but the sleeve actually will be just this one, and these are to be sewn before starting to knit the sleeves. And the length is quite cropped. I am almost done with I think something like 5-6 centimeters of the body, and I will then soon sew these ones and start with the sleeves. You can of course adjust the length if you prefer it longer, and it's very roomy and so comfortable to wear because, well, okay, now it's open, so it's easier to say it's comfortable, but I believe it will be also when it will be finished like that. Because it's quite elastic. You may know that our yarn have no superwash treatment, so they just stay in place normally, and they do not tend to loosen when they are knitted in a seamless pattern. But with this sort of stitching, actually the fabric gets very, very elastic, and but it doesn't lose shape in a way, because you see it just stays there. Okay, I haven't washed it yet, but I already knitted with the Stormy Blend, believe me, a lot of times. And so I'm quite surprised that it doesn't stick there. And in fact, I started knitting with a size 2 or 3, I don't remember, I have to check, but you will find the right one in our website page when the sale will be active. And now I'm thinking, I'm sorry, then I started thinking that it would be fit better to stop increasing and stop to actually at size 1 increases for the yoke part, because it turned out that I used the same needles as the pattern calls for, but and the yardage is just the same as the fingering one that were used for this for the sample, the original sample, though they are superwash yarns. But well, it turned like that, and I'm really, really happy. I want to show you one thing, that is the detail of the colorways, because this is also reversible. Yeah, so lovely. And one other thing that I love of this stitching the fisherman ribs is that depending of course on the pattern, if it's sewn or you can't use it the other way around, but being this seamless, it's totally doable. And I used the Celtic as a main color, and avevo un appuntamento as a contrast. You will end up with 3 skeins each for each shade, although you will have a little more contrast color left. This will go almost all of the 3 skeins, I believe, in the end. So the fun thing is that the main color actually stands in the back. You start knitting the color only in main color, and you can see how it's knitted with the Celtic. And then you will start knitting 1 round per shade, and the contrast just comes up in the ribs. So you perhaps see that there's a greenish pattern in the background, but the main shadows and hints of color are the ones of Avevo un appuntamento. And if you turned it the other way around, there will be only main color showing almost totally. And also the look of the stitches is quite different, and I love it. I'm not sure which side I prefer, actually. This is one thing I will have to consider when wearing it, and I will have to be very, very careful while weaving hands, because I tend to leave them inside because they just stick and stay in place after washing and wearing a garment. But in this case, I will have to be a little more careful. And so this is the inside and wrong side, I would say, of the fabric, while let it come back again as it's the pattern calls for. This is the right side with the contrast coming out, and of course the stitching is more definite and more visible this way. So I totally recommend it. It's very quick and very easy, because once you learn a bit of the stitching in the 2 rows, it's just the same. It's much easier than brioche. If you're scared about that, don't worry, it's very, very easy, and you will find all the details and the link to the pattern, of course, in the description of the episode. The other pattern that we will suggest in our sales is very famous and very easy as well, and I thought about it once I started thinking what to knit with Acquerelli, and this is the tiny tassels. This is a free pattern from Loop London. I've seen dozens of these shawlets, and I've always wanted to have one. So I thought, okay, let's try to find some pattern that could be easy and where I could match easily just a couple of skeins of Acquerelli, just to see how the colors melt and pair one with another. So I chose, despite what I told you before, I chose Occidente, of course, my favorite one, and Favola di Venezia. and I tried to mix them together. And I'm super happy. For those of you who attended the knitting with the goats in June, I was knitting this one, and if you remember, and I used just 2 skeins, so 100 grams of yarn to make the shawlette, because it was born as a really small shawl, not one of those sort of curtains that sometimes you find on Ravelry. So you see Occidente in the first part of the fabric. Sorry. And then I started alternating the two colorways in this section, and you see perhaps the pink starting to come out, and as the number of stitches increases, the last part is only with knitted with the Favola di Venezia, and it seems that is a smaller section, but actually it's the same yarn amount. I swear. For the tassels, there's a tutorial in the pattern that you can download for free from Loop website. I grabbed some leftovers I had in my enormous stash, and I chose some chic blend and some twisty chic, just searching for colorways that were actually inside the hand-dyed shades. So I picked some blue, some pink, some purples, and some yellow, like Echo, and some light blue, like Fuoco Fatuo, Burrasca, and I'm sorry, Vin Brûlé, and Medea, Ondina, yes, Ondina, that really stands out with this sort of pinkish and peachy, and Nasturzi. It was a quite light batch of Nasturzi. I had one cake left from I don't know which pattern, the Scout Shawl perhaps, and that's how it comes. All the tiny tassels are just bumping one after the other, and the fun thing of this shawl is that of course you can use all the stash you have for the tassels in contrast or in matching colorways, but they really give a meaning to the whole piece, I believe, because when you wear it, it really, from a simple triangle, it gets something really more fun. So, recapping a bit, you will find all the 6 shades of Acquerelli in the summer sales. They will be all restocked, and they will have a good stock, so let's hope they won't go sold out so quickly as before. The sales will be open, I believe, for 1 month, because they will start on Monday 31st, and yeah, I believe until September 1st or something like that. We are reasoning about that. We are trying as usual to put higher stocks of yarn in shop, so when we will go on holiday in August, there will be plenty of choice to make some good purchases. There will be, of course, not only the Acquerelli, but there will be Siva and all the new shades, all the woolet patterns, miniato and pilastri. Of course, the Tandy tea kits will be available and discounted. The pattern that just was published last week by Justina Lorkowska. And there will be a pure and simple, of course, with Espedito kits in the original shade and in our sample that Julie is still knitting. And there will be some chic, of course, the Gema sweater that was published last January, February, I don't remember, in the winter, by Joanne Knits. That is really a winter knit, I must admit. I wanted to put also Lucia pullover in the sales, but it was perhaps too much. We will perhaps put it again in the winter to make you knit one. It's an amazing pullover, but it's really, really too heavy. I don't know if I will ever wear it here in Genoa. Anyway, so yeah, the Gamma sweater, all about cables and marled textures and shades, the amazing one. And the Porto Cholet by Sosu Knits, we really enjoyed to meet her again in Porto last month, and we had knitted her shawl that was a sort of iconic piece for the event, and well, it turned out very different from the original one. We used the chic blend on that. You will see it. I don't have it here because it's at Julia's as usual for the shooting, but you will see it on the website. It's really, really, really plain and easy to knit and very, very well described in the instructions. So the pattern, it's with brioche in that case, but it's very simple and straightforward, so you can easily knit it with no problem. We used Selene and Senape, and people really liked it in Porto, but we didn't really have time to publish it before, so we said okay, let's keep it for sales and launch it in that occasion. I'm sure I'm forgetting something, but if I don't remember, I can say it, obviously. So, if you have any question, of course, you can drop us an email, and if there's something you don't see, perhaps a shade that you don't see in the listed in the sales, we can dye it for a minimum of 5 skeins order, but of course it won't be discounted because we have prepared the shades and the stash to put on sale, and so all custom orders as usual will have the normal retail price. There will be what I was forgetting. There will be the distache section again, and it will be about twisty. That it's almost really gone. We really have something like 20 skeins or so left, so we will put it in the distache. For the lovers of this space, it's perhaps the last chance to grab it because it won't be produced again. And there will be kits of minis, chic minis. I'm gonna make some bundles as usual. It's my favorite job for the sales, is to make bundles and matching shades and bases, which is very fun. And we are doing this with minis because there will be some news when we come back in September. related to minis. It won't be an advent calendar. I can spoil that for sure, because it won't be. There will be big news for the winter coming, and this won't regard minis. But there will be a lovely kit with minis that will launch in September at Knit. So if you are keen to come to Lyon, we will love to meet you there. We are very excited to go. We wanted to be part of Knit It for the very first edition that unfortunately had to happen in 2020. So that awful year, it was, of course, cancelled. And into 2021, we weren't really ready to meet people again. I must confess. So we decided not to join them, which, looking back, it was a pity. We could have, but anyway, no regrets. We slowly started again reorganizing. You know, it's just the two of us, so doing shows it's really challenging to handle with the shop, with the retailers, and with the clubs. So this year we started, last year we started again with Barcelona, which was amazing and overwhelming at the same time. And this year we just let ourselves go and went to Madrid and went to Porto, and we will be in Lyon. And I can't say anything more because it's still concealed information, but we are very happy to be back to meet people again in person once the ice was broken. And so okay, you will see all this stuff, both Acquerelli and the new kit with Mini, and some more newbies in Lyon in September. For now, I can thank you for sticking here till the end, and I hope to be back soon. I don't know, I always hope so. Let's see what I can do.